Hello, I'm Eric Meeks, broker owner of Remax Desert Properties in Palm Springs and Indian Wells. And today I want to talk to you about the number one deal killer objection. And I'm going to talk to you from both the client's point of view and the agent's point of view as we go through this. Because that number one objection is after you've done a great presentation and the client says, I want to think about it. As an agent, it's our number one objection that we really don't want to hear, because I don't want to think about it is something we can't easily overcome. Okay, and from the client side, they usually say, I want to think about it because you probably fell short during your presentation at some point, and yet as the agent, we're not sure what that point is. And if you're an agent like me, you want to sell from a position of honesty and integrity and fulfilling those needs and benefits that really helps the client see that whatever the product is you're selling, of course I'm selling real estate, but whatever the product is that we're selling is really the right fit. And so when that client says, I want to think about it, inside I know we're kind of devastated. But I want you to think on this. Why does a client say I want to think about it? And there's a couple real reasons. Usually it's because we didn't do a good discovery. And the discovery, for those of you unfamiliar with the term, although I believe most of you are, is what I call my what, and why. In those early stages of meeting the client, what's the most important thing you're looking for, Mr. or Mrs. Client? And why above all things did you pick that? And what did you mean by that when you said it? Okay, and when you ask that, we get to what we call third level questions, and people will explain, well, I really want a house with 3 bedrooms. Okay, what do you mean by that? Well, I want 3 bedrooms. Okay, I want room for my kids, and we've got a dog, and I've got a mother-in-law that comes and visits sometime, or whatever it is. Or I want a house that's close to the college, or close to my job, or whatever it is. Okay, well, what do you mean by that? When you say you want a house big enough for your family or for your dog, what kind of dog is it? You know, and you start asking those second and third level questions. And then, why above all things did you pick those as what you want? And usually when you're doing a discovery on this here, you'll get the answer, well, it's because our last house is kind of small and it's in an inner city and we're looking forward to moving out here and having room in the garage and riding bikes as a family and doing outdoor stuff, and I don't want to spend all my time on the freeway going back and forth to work because I've been doing that where I live now. And while my mother-in-law may not be my favorite person in the world, it is my wife's favorite person, and my wife is my favorite person. And so therefore, the happier I can make her and the more comfortable I can make my family, the better my life is, because that's why I work. Now I get it, right? Now we understand our client. So when we go through all that and we still hear, I want to think about it, what the client is really telling us is that, and this is most of the time, I got to say this, most of the time we didn't hit the bullseye with the product we brought forward. But they realize you tried, and therefore they don't want to beat you up. And by them saying, I want to think about it, they think they're letting you off the hook easy. Whereas really they're not, but they don't understand the psychology of a salesperson, or at least not an honest and ethical salesperson, because they've encountered unethical ones in the past. But you probably have a decent shot at understanding the psychology of a buyer or seller. So when you hear that I want to think about it, objection, I encourage you to just take a step back and say, you know, I can understand. I sometimes want to think about it, but I prefer just a very straightforward way of trying to deal with it. And just, you know, Bob or Mary, I understand, you know, wanting to think about it, and I don't want you to make a bad decision. I want you to be comfortable with the decision you make. But can I also ask you, because you probably see me trying here somewhat, where am I missing the bullseye? What part of this is it that's making you want to think about it instead of knowing this is the right one? And I'll tell you, that is my favorite way to handle the I want to think about it objection. Because I have seen salespeople, and I have even had sales coaches try to encourage me to say, well, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you know, right now you're in the position that you've got all the information needed to make that decision, and wouldn't you agree that the right time to make the decision is when all the correct information is in front of you? Now that's a salesman's close, okay? And that's a type of closing that a more traditional type of salesman will do. But I also think that given that the average age of the people out there in the world is getting older, they've probably heard that one before. And they don't appreciate it as much as if it ever worked as when it was designed to work. And I don't like that close. I'll tell you, so I'm going to discourage you from using that one. I encourage you to just look the people in the eye and kind of reiterate what you've tried to do and say, look, I don't have to be done. Well, I think this is a good fit. Can I just make sure what about it is not working? Because if I need to go, look in the back room or go search the MLS again for another one of these or whatever it is, I'd still like to earn your business, even if we have to change product. Do you mind telling me where what I'm doing is working right and where what I'm doing is not working right? And if after that they still just say, I want to think about it, you probably are not going to overcome it. But if then they will give you anything to go on, you at least have a chance to back up and to try again. And if they just say, well, I really have to talk to my wife or my accountant or whoever it is, you have a greater chance that they're telling you the truth. So I'm encouraging you to not beat up on your clients, to hear the I want to think about it objection, and then just politely repeat the reasons why you got them on this product and ask them, did you do as good a job as what they were hoping? Or should you go look in the back room or the MLS and see if there's something else? And that's my advice. That's how I deal with it. I want to think about it. And while as a salespeople, we hate sending the client out there to go think about it, we would rather them make a decision. I believe the respect that you will get will win over more people than pushing too hard at that point, and you will have a second bite at the apple if there was ever any grain of truth and trust between you and your client. And there you have it. If you get I want to think about it, try that. My name's Eric Meeks, broker owner at RE/MAX Desert Properties, and I hope both you as agents and as clients find some value in this advice I give here today. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.